My name is Eleanor. I'm 74 years old, and I need to tell you something. Something. I didn't realize until it was too late. I thought I had time. And I was so stupid. 3 weeks ago, I was sitting in my doctor's office, and she said those words that change everything. Eleanor, we need to talk about your test results. My chest tightened, the room got smaller, and suddenly I didn't understand anything anymore. All those years, what was I doing? Maybe you think you have forever. I did. I see it now. That certainty I carried around like armor. That there's always next week, next month, next year. I believed that for 70 years of my life. 70 years of thinking the important stuff, the stuff that mattered, could wait. Let me take you back to 1995. I was 45 years old, and my daughter Sarah called me. She was living in Portland then, had just gotten engaged to this wonderful man named David. She said, "Mom, I want to plan a trip together, just you and me. We could go to Ireland, like we always talked about when I was little." And you know what I said? I said, "Oh, honey, maybe next year. Work is crazy right now, and your father and I are refinancing the house." God, why did I say that? Sarah's voice got quiet. She said, "Okay, Mom, but let's definitely plan it. I've been saving money." I remember hanging up that phone and feeling nothing. Just relief that I'd gotten out of another commitment. Another thing I didn't have time for. I went back to sorting through mortgage papers like nothing had happened. Like my daughter hadn't just reached out to me with her heart wide open. 1996 came. The phone rang one spring morning. Sarah again. "Mom, remember Ireland? I found this amazing tour company that does mother-daughter trips." And I cut her off. "Sweetie, work is insane right now. Maybe after things settle down." I was eating cereal when she called. Cereal. I chose my breakfast routine over my daughter's dreams. I can still picture myself sitting there in my bathrobe, spooning cornflakes into my mouth while crushing her hopes. 1997. Sarah called on my birthday. "Mom, what if we just did a long weekend in Dublin? Nothing fancy, just the two of us." I was reorganizing the garage that day, the garage. Old Christmas decorations and paint cans. I said, "Let me call you back." I never called back, but she tried again. God, she tried so hard. She sent me articles about Ireland in the mail, pictures of green countryside and old castles, little notes that said, "Doesn't this look amazing, Mom?" I'd glance at them and put them in the junk drawer. The junk drawer, that's where my daughter's dreams went, right next to expired coupons and broken pins. 1998, 1999, 2000. Each year Sarah would mention Ireland. Smaller suggestions, shorter trips. "What about just a weekend, Mom? What about a long weekend? What about we just look at flights?" And each year I had a reason. The basement flooded. My mother got sick. The promotion at work. Always something more important than my daughter. I started dreading her calls. Can you believe that? I started seeing her name on the caller ID and thinking, "Oh God, what does she want now?" What she wanted was time with me. And I treated it like an inconvenience, like she was trying to sell me something I didn't want. 2001 came. Sarah got married. Beautiful wedding. David's family was so warm and welcoming. During the reception, Sarah came up to me. She'd had a few glasses of champagne and her cheeks were pink. She said, "Mom, after the honeymoon, maybe we could finally do our Ireland trip. David thinks it would be wonderful for us." And I interrupted. "Oh, honey, You'll be so busy being a newlywed. Maybe we'll talk about traveling when you're settled. That was the last time Sarah ever mentioned Ireland to me. I didn't realize she stopped asking after that. The woman who had spent 6 years hoping and planning and dreaming just gave up. Do you know what it feels like to understand, 20 years too late, that your child gave up on you? That she stopped believing you'd ever say yes? It feels like drowning in your own stupidity. Sarah's 52 now. Lives in Seattle with her family. 3 kids I barely know because I was always too busy to visit. And last month, when I told her about the doctor's visit, she cried because she said, "Mom, I stopped believing we'd ever go anywhere together. I didn't realize how time works when you're not paying attention. When I was 30, a year felt endless. When I was 40, I thought I was still young. And now I can't believe Sarah is 52. I can't believe my granddaughter is in high school. I can't believe my husband has been gone for 3 years. Bill, my sweet Bill, he used to ask about Ireland too. In 2005, he brought home travel brochures. Ireland, Scotland, Wales. He spread them on the kitchen table like a feast. Eleanor, what if we went for our 30th anniversary? I barely looked up from paying bills. Bill, we can't afford that right now. Maybe for our 35. He gathered up those brochures so carefully, like he was gathering up his hopes. I should have seen it then. The way his shoulders slumped just a little. Our 35th anniversary came. I suggested Ireland again. Bill smiled, but something was different. Dimmer. He said, "Sure, honey, let's start saving." But he didn't bring home any more brochures. We never did start saving. We just talked about saving. Like we talked about everything else we were going to do someday. Bill got sick in 2018. Pancreatic cancer. Fast. So fast. I remember the doctor's words. If we're lucky, maybe 6 months. 6 months. All those years I thought we had forever, and suddenly we had 6 months. In the hospital, morphine making him drift in and out, he grabbed my hand during one of his clear moments. His voice was barely a whisper. "Ellie, I wanted to see the cliffs with you, the green fields. I wanted to walk through those little villages. I said, when you get better, we'll go." Even then I was still lying to both of us about time. He squeezed my hand with what little strength he had left. "I'm not getting better, am I?" And I couldn't answer him, because saying yes would make it real. So I sat there, silent, holding his hand while he slipped away from me. Still waiting for a better time, to be honest. After the funeral, I couldn't bear to go through his things right away. But 6 months later, when I finally opened his desk drawer, there they were. Those travel brochures from 2005, 13 years old by then. The pages were yellow and brittle, but he'd kept them, all of them. And there was something else, a notebook. Bill's handwriting, neat and careful, planning our Ireland trip. Hotels he'd researched online, restaurants he wanted to try, a whole itinerary for a trip we never took. Pages and pages of dreams he'd never shared with me because he knew I'd find an excuse to say no. One page was marked, a small bed and breakfast in County Cork called the Emerald View. He'd circled it in blue pen and written next to it, "Eleanor would love the garden here, roses everywhere." I called the number with shaking hands. Still in business after all these years. The woman who answered had an Irish accent thick as cream. "Oh, we'd love to have you visit," she said cheerfully. "When were you thinking of coming?" And I hung up, because what was I going to tell her? That my husband dreamed of bringing me there for 15 years and now he's dead and I never said yes? That I chose paying bills over seeing the world with the man who loved me? I sat in his empty office, holding those brochures, and I screamed. I actually screamed until my throat was raw, because I finally understood what I'd done. I hadn't just postponed a trip. I'd postponed life. His life, my life, Sarah's life. Last week, Sarah called. Out of nowhere. She said, "Mom, my youngest is graduating high school this year. Before she goes to college, would you want to come visit?" Maybe we could. Maybe we could look at Ireland again. I know it sounds crazy after all these years. I didn't know what to say because I heard it in her voice. That little girl who used to ask about Dublin and castles and green hills, except now she's 52 and I'm 74, and we've been having the same conversation for 30 years. "Sarah," I said, "what if it's too late for that now?" Silence on the phone. Long, painful silence. Then she said something that broke me completely. "Mom, it's been too late for Ireland for 20 years, but maybe it's not too late for us. Us, after everything I'd done, everything I hadn't done, she was still willing to try. Maybe you think you're different. Maybe you think you're not like me. The woman who spent 30 years saying next year, but I'm telling you, I thought I was different too. I thought Ireland would wait. I thought Sarah would always ask. I thought Bill would always be there with his travel brochures and his gentle suggestions and his infinite patience with my excuses. I thought, God, I thought I was being responsible, practical, smart. I was being a fool. And now I'm sitting here with treatment schedules and medication lists and uncertain prognoses, and all I can think about is how many times I said no. How many times I chose what? What did I choose instead? The bills got paid on time. The garage got organized twice a year. The house stayed spotless. My performance reviews at work were always excellent. And Ireland stayed a dream. Bill's dream. Sarah's dream, never mine, because I was too busy, too scared, too convinced that dreams were for other people. I don't know why I'm telling you this. Maybe because I can't tell Bill. Maybe because Sarah deserves better than a mother who wasted 30 years. Maybe because I'm angry, so angry at myself that I want to scream until there's nothing left. All those years. And for what? For nothing. For absolutely nothing that matters now. The doctor says I have options. Treatment options. Maybe a year or two if I'm lucky. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call Sarah tonight. I'm going to say yes, even if Ireland kills me. Even if I'm too sick to enjoy it. Even if it's 30 years too late. Because I finally understand that the only real failure is dying with your dreams still waiting for permission.